Hi, y'all.
Hey, Todd.
My name's Todd H. I'm an alcoholic.
Hey, Todd.
And when he asked me how long he'd been sponsoring my sobriety date, it's March 26th of 2016. And I was thinking when he said that about the way I felt right before that, and I would have never thought I'd be here with y'all. And I'm gonna try to keep this as PG as I can. I see some young people here, and that's cool. I need to clean it up anyway. And when I say I'm an alcoholic, boy, I'm an alcoholic. I don't think right, I don't act right, but because of y'all, I hadn't had a drink or a pill or a drug or anything since that date I told y'all. And what a miracle that is, because right prior to that I was doing everything I could to stay out of reality. It was real uncomfortable to be in reality. And my life was kind of a clown show, and we get to grow up in front of each other in Alcoholics Anonymous. That's what we get to do. And some of us wait a long time, like me, to get here, and the only way I ever want to do anything about myself is through pain. It's got to get uncomfortable. Things have got to start sucking real bad for me to go, maybe I need to do something about it. So some events happened last week, and I'm gonna get to in a minute. And I saw something. We have these spiritual experiences and these spiritual awakenings, and things look different than they did the day before because of Alcoholics Anonymous. And so some things happened this week, and then a friend of mine sent me a cartoon, and I just laughed because I was laughing about my part of the cartoon, not anybody else's, and I put it on Facebook, and I'm gonna read the cartoon to you, and y'all are gonna laugh too. Some of you are gonna laugh, some of you might get mad, because that's my experience with it. It's a picture, and it shows a man and a woman standing in front of a mental health center. And the top of it says, when you're tired of dating rehab girls and want to take things up a notch, how to meet an exciting girlfriend. And they're standing in front of it. Well, that's hilarious, because I've not been very good in relationships. And most of y'all know that. Matter of fact, all of y'all know that. Y'all see where I'm at, And I was at work yesterday, and I'm a welder, and I don't carry this in my pocket because it messes it up, breaks the screen, the spark hits it, so I leave it in my truck. And when the day is over or at lunch, I look and see how I got missed calls, and sometimes I call them back and sometimes I don't. Probably call you back. That's what my sponsor's answering thing says. This is Zane, I'll probably call you back. That's so he ain't lying, Anyway. And that's kind of, anyway. So anyway, I'll get back to the story before I lose y'all. I looked and saw I had some missed calls, but I didn't get to them until today. Thank God. I called one of them back today, and I'm not going to call her name, Heather. And she said, I was mad at you because that was about me. I thought you put that. Me and Heather never dated. Let me clean that up. But she thought I put the post up there, and she took it personal, like I had done a personal insult on her, whatever. And we laughed about that because that's me. I'm telling you, something can happen over across town, and that shit's happening to me, and y'all did it, And Zane is my witness. Okay, keep going. Okay, that's the end of that joke. Anyway, he's my proctor, Anyway. Hey y'all, I took my first drink when I was 12, but let me back up. My mom and dad were, if anybody ever had a reason that was raised to where there was no problems, and I would have been that guy. My mom and dad were no less than saints, and I'm not putting them on a pedestal. I never saw them drink, never saw them do. I saw my dad drink a half a beer when I was about 7 years old. And thinking about that, the best I can, he just took it in good gesture because there was a bunch of men there and they offered him one and he took it. And I remember he didn't even finish it. He left it. And that's the only time I ever saw him drink. My mother never drank, smoked, nothing. The only time she ever cussed was at me. And warranted. I'm alcoholic because I have that peculiar mental twist that the book talks about. There's something wrong with my spirit. My dad was a hard worker. He's 92. He's in a nursing home in Malakoff now, but he was a provider and a rock and just that guy. And spoiled me and my brother both. I had an older brother who's 5 years older than me. I was born in 1964, and so y'all know how old I am. I'm 55, but I don't look it. Yeah. So anyway, thank you. And can y'all see me?
Yeah.
Okay, I keep going then. And he took care of us, and he, like I said, I spoiled, and I mean, he tore our butts up pretty regular. It was all warranted, but they would have called that child abuse these days. I remember the sound of that belt coming through them loops, and he'd draw it like a sword, and you knew it was fixing to be on in your life. But that only happened about twice a year, you know, but boy, that was enough. Anyway, he worked at TU Electric, TP&L back then, and he started at Trinidad and transferred to Savoy, which is right out of Bonham, Texas, and that's when I come along now. My brother and I both were adopted. I think I was 3 days old when they got me. I've told that before, and then I think about it and think, how do you know that? So I don't really know, but I think that's what my mother told me. And so they got me then. And my brother, same way. We were not real brothers. He's out of San Antonio, and I was born in the Wolf Dew Foreign Hospital in Athens. It was Eckerd's at one time. Yeah, a little building, you know. Yeah. Anyway, I like that. So, they did what they signed up for. Matter of fact, in one of my darkest moments, my mother told me one time, she said, you know, we come and got you, and we stood up to that thing that we filled out and said that we would take care of you and do the best we could, and she said, I've done it. And she was not being nice when she was talking to me because I was being foul and probably telling them what a terrible parent she was, because I'm that guy when I'm drunk. And so anyway, I took my first drink when I was 12, and it was out of a neighbor's refrigerator. Now, when I was 12, if you had a refrigerator in the garage, you was uptown. And our neighbor had a refrigerator in the garage, and I was kind of amazed by that. But anyway, me and two of my buddies stole a 6-pack of the Dallas Cowboys beer, Miller Lite. And there's the throw in for that. Anyway. And we took it to the woods, and we all drank one, and we proceeded to go home, and they went home, and I went back and drank the rest of it. I never once thought maybe I was different than them because I went back and they didn't. You know, we don't think about that. And anyway, I got in trouble, got drunk, got in trouble, got a little bit sick, not too bad. And then it was probably a couple of years later before I drank again, and me and another guy had stole his daddy's fifth of red wine. Now, I got sick on that. But I just got sick, and but I was entertained by it. I never drank just a little, I can tell y'all that. Never ever did I drink just a little or do just a little. What's the point, you know? That's the kind of guy, that's the kind of alcoholic I am. And that's the way it was. Just, I drank every time I had a chance, but the chances weren't very close together because I was a kid. But then I got a driver's license. Yeah. And I got a driver's license, and right about the time I got a driver's license, 10th grade, boy, that was a big year for me. I had played football all through school up until the 10th grade, and I wasn't going to get to start. And y'all know I was graduating from Henderson. It's a pretty big school, and they got some pretty good sized boys over there. And anyway, it doesn't matter about them. I didn't get to start, and I was mad. And you know, they tell you you can quit up to this day, and then after that day you lose a credit if you quit after the season starts. And so I went to the last minute, and then me and my best friend quit, and we decided we was going to go to work half a day and school half a day. Part of that masquerade that I've done my whole life, you know. I quit football because I want to work. That was the story, but that wasn't the facts. I quit football because I couldn't start. So anyway, went to work, and we got paid on Thursday, and Kilgore was the closest wet town. I graduated in '83, barely. And but anyway, we would go to Kilgore, and I'd get a 8-pack of baby bulls and an 8-pack of red grape malt duck, and boy, it was on, you know. And man, it was fun for quite a while. I got in trouble all along. I never really got. I mean, I was getting PIs and minor in possession, public intoxication. They used to give those out. Nowadays, it's just DWI and all that. And, you know, used to you could get a disorderly conduct. Well, now it's assault, you know. You can't even have a good bar fight no more, you know. Y'all don't know what y'all are missing out on. Shit. And so all along I was getting these little indications with the, like I said, the minor in possession, the public intoxication, and mom and dad would come get me out of jail, and anyway, never ever did I consider stop doing it because I was having fun. Y'all know what I'm talking about. It worked for quite a while. I say that, maybe not, but I'll let y'all decide. The first real trouble, I don't know if it's real trouble. Hank Williams Jr. was going to play at the Rio Palm Isle. And they used to have big names there in Longview. And me and a buddy of mine was going, and we stopped at one of them. You know, it's BYOB. They sold beer, but you had to bring your liquor if you wanted it. And so I got a pint of Blackjack, and he got a pint of W.L. Weller, and we drank them, you know, and it was a contest. And I don't know who finished theirs first, but I know who wound up in the Gregg County Jail and never saw Hank Williams Jr., and that was me. And now a buddy of mine and another friend of mine tell me this. I don't know it to be the truth, but I was in the drunk tank throwing up and exasperating in it. And a friend of mine, I'm going to leave his name out of it, but he went to school with me, was in that tank. And he turned me over all night until my mom and dad got there to get me out. Because they come and got me. As soon as they got me on the phone, I called them and they come and got me. Now, this is the best part of the story. I think it's 4 o'clock in the morning. They picked me up at Gregg County Jail. And my daddy don't talk much. He never has. He's kind of quiet and meant everything he said. And where's your pickup? I said, still at the Rio, I guess. And I'm in the back seat of this Cadillac. They come over to get me. My dad was a high-class dude now, I'm telling you. And I'm not making light of that either. He drove new cars, bought my mom a new car every 2 years. He just one of them kind of guys. And we drive up and pull into Rio, and there's no cars. And I thought, well, I guess they towed it. And when we come out of the parking lot, the headlights went across my pickup, and it was in the median between the highways. Do you know they never believed that parking lot was that full that I had to park between the highways out there? My mama said, look, Bobby, he was so drunk he couldn't even find a parking lot. I'm telling you that, and it was that crowded when I got there, I think. Anyway, I drank like that, you know, always like that. And then in 1987, I got to be careful here. about that time, I got my first DWI right there in Athens. And back then, they just give you 2 years probation, and if you report 3 times in a row real good, they'll put you on mail in. That's what they did back then. That was before the DWI law was bad. And so I never had much repercussion from that, I didn't think. I was plenty drunk. Lucky I didn't hurt somebody. But right about this time, I got some, I got a story anyway. I was dating this girl, and when you drink like I drank, things happen untimely. That's the only way I know to say that with young people in the room. And she got pregnant, and I had arrived, I thought. I was running the coal miners bar over there in Malakoff. I was there every night. When I say running it, I mean running to it. It was open 4 nights a week, and I was there from the time it opened till it closed. And sometimes Leo's dead and gone. I can say his name now. Leo would shut the doors and let us stay. If we had money to spend, we could stay and drink till the money run out. And anyway, I remember this just like it was yesterday. We had those moments that we can remember in our lives, and one of them was I was standing in a bar, pool tables over here, dance floor over here, and that live music going, and I'm standing there with a Coors Light. That's what I drank, among other things. And I remember thinking, this is what I was cut out for. My mom and dad don't know what they were missing. I felt sorry for them. Right at that moment, I thought, they just, boy, they don't know it. And I think right there is when what Bill describes as the double-edged sword was formed. I didn't even know it. It was like that day I made the decision, unconsciously drunk, made a decision that was the way I was going to go. And then things started happening, like the DWI, and this girl got pregnant. And I was in that psych of this is what I want to do, and she's fixing to get in the way of me going to the bar every night. She's fixing to get in the way of this life that I found. I remember thinking that, oh my God, how am I going to do this with that? That was my thoughts. How am I going to do this with that going on? So I talked her into going to Dallas, and I hauled tail up there, and we went to one of them clinics. I wouldn't even go in with her. That's the kind of chicken shit I am. And I wouldn't even go in with her. She went in, took care of things, come out, drove like hell all the way home, and couldn't wait to get her out of the truck, and carried on with my life. And which this stuff was turning around on me. And I met my daughter's mother, and same thing keeps happening. Keeping it PG here. And I come at her with the same line of crap. I'm not ready for this. And she told me how the cow ate the cabbage, thank God. And I got a daughter now that we like each other's stuff on Facebook. And we talk through Facebook a little bit, and maybe once a year on the phone. And that's pretty good. And I'm doing what I'm told with that, which is be still. And so anyway, and right after that, I met my son's mother. Same thing happened. And it was like the script flipped. She told me she was pregnant, and she said, I'm not marrying you, you piece of shit. I said, what? I said, we're getting married. We're going to get married, and we're going to have this baby, and we're going to have a family. And that was my intentions. And we got married, and it was bad. It was rough. And by this time, I had started doing a lot of other things so I could drink more. And these other things were getting in the way of, well, work got in the way of those things, let me say. And anyway, she had my son named Hank, my daughter's named Jordan. Good kids. And we're living in I rented a 2-story house because I had a good welding job, and I got a little good. I still got that problem. And so we rented a 2-story house there in Athens, and we was doing what we do, and I can't even. Hank was about 6 months old. Anyway, I don't know how long I've been passed out in the bedroom. The door shut. He's right across the hall. His door shut. I'm talking about my son. And I come to, and he's screaming. And I'm like, God. And I jump out of the bed and I run in there. And he's took his diaper off, and he's been playing in his poo, and it's all over everything. And he's just screaming because I don't know how long he's been in there I don't know how long I've been passed out. Don't know if it was 1 night, 2 nights. She's still asleep, and this is my story. I gathered him up and took him to my mama, and I said, we can't do it. And he deserved better than what we're doing. And I left him there, and then we got a divorce. And I went to treatment for the first time. I went to treatment because I had broke my daddy's heart. Yeah. And he took me over there, and I remember that was a long ride. And it was on his birthday. It was my dad's birthday. It was April 26th of 1992. And we went to University Park right over here. And I stayed 17 days and left, got in a tussle with a guy in a group. Imagine that. And got kicked out. And but I was used to that. I've been kicked out of a lot of places by now. And, that's what I tried to do. I wanted out of there. So I got out. And that started, I'm going to get on through this. I went there. I actually stayed sober about 6 months that time. Just because then people were telling me, don't leave, you're going to get drunk. And I remember one of the counselors there was Paul Cox. God, I loved him. And I remember when I was leaving, I don't know if I can say it like he said it, but he said, you're just like me. He said, you're socially unacceptable, a menace to society, and part of a hopeless variety of people that may never get this deal. And he told me the truth. I hated him for telling me that, And so I kind of stayed sober by that, thinking about what he'd said. And anyway, to get through that, I want to tell y'all I was sitting in a place where they sell drugs, telling them how great sobriety was in about a week. And they were all looking at me like, what's he doing here, I didn't have anything to work with. All I had was myself. And I had ejected myself out of treatment and, just flying around by the seat of my pants and hoping that stuff don't catch up to me. You know how we are. We're hoping that a magic trick happens and we don't have to do it anymore. Bullshit. It's coming. If we don't do this, it's coming. Whew, it takes forever to figure that out for me. So anyway, end up messed up, drunk again. And a lot of this is a blur. But I remember going through Oak Haven one time. I went to Oak Haven twice, but they're not together, way apart. And but anyway, I wound up down in Baytown. And y'all, I'm gonna cry through this a little bit. And wound up down in Baytown. And I took I could weld pretty good, and I'm not talking that ego, but I could get a job. If there was a turnaround going on somewhere, and I could stop for 3 days where the slag would get out of my pee-pee, well, I could get a job. And I did that for a long time. And I wound up down there, and I ended up getting in. I was staying at the Bays Inn in Baytown. Anybody know where that is? I tell you what, I know where you've been if you know where that is. Yeah, you just told on yourself. Anyway, so I wound up and I was living there and I was stealing meat from Kroger's to pay for my room and my habit. you know, they started wearing Nomex coveralls in the refineries. And you could put on a shirt and tuck it in your pants, put Nomex coveralls on and go in them and stick that meat in there. They didn't put the tags in them then. I may be the reason for that. They didn't put the little theft tags in the meat packs back then. And so there was 2 steakhouses down there that would buy them for me at half what was marked on them. And yeah, that's the levels I went to. I went to any lengths to stay loaded and out of reality. Anyway, I wound up going to a place in Deer Park called a Wheelhouse. Anybody know the Wheelhouse? Got a wheelhead in here? There's one. And it is a what you would call a low bottom facility. You just about got to come out of the weed patch to qualify to get a bed there. You don't have to have any money, but you got to be on the bottom. And I drove up there in a Dodge pickup that didn't have a straight place on it and one window out. And I got out and I'm walking up to the place. A good friend of mine told me about it. I'm going to get to him right after this. And I'm walking up and this big Mexican dude comes out of there and his name's Abraham, and I'll never forget Abraham. And he met me about halfway across the yard and did his head. I said, "What do you want?" I said, I need a bed. I need to get better. He looked around me like this at my pickup and he said, "Go smoke that truck and come back. Maybe you'll be ready." Oh, I hated him right then. You know, he's like, yeah. So I left and come back the next day, and I know this is AA, but my story involves that stuff. And so I left and I come back the next day and he come out across that yard again and I just threw him the keys. I said, "You can have it. Please let me stay." And he said, "You might be ready." And so they let me stay and I almost made it through there. It was a 30-day program and I quit on the 29th day. You know, I just told y'all about quitting football, quitting University Park, went out and quit the Wheelhouse, quit all them women. I'm good at quitting, but I can't stay quit when it comes to alcohol. You know what I mean? So anyway, right after that in 1995, I'm living back at my mama's house. You know, I found out in Alcoholics Anonymous, I skip around like that. I found out in Alcoholics Anonymous, just because somebody lets you stay with them, you're still homeless. If you don't have a place to go lay down at night of your own, you're homeless. I didn't know that until a little bit ago, you know. Hell, I thought I'd done pretty good my whole life until I found out in AA that I've been homeless most of my life. You know, we live in this delusion. And anyway, where was I at? Boy. Okay, in 1995, I'm living back at Mama's because they'll let me, you know. God, they let me use them up. And I'm coming from town, and a cop pulls me over, and I know him on first name basis, and I just left one of them places that you ain't supposed to be at, and he saw me leave there, and I'm thinking, should I get rid of it or not? And I didn't. And he come up, and first thing he said was, "You need to get out of the truck." Well, I know what time it is then. I'm good at this, being a criminal shit. And I know when they tell you to get out of the truck, it's on. Because they're either going to call for help or put handcuffs on you or put you in their car. When they want you out of your car, it's not good. And I start talking to him. You know, when I'm in trouble, I know how to talk, it seems like. Oh man, I said, I just live a mile down the road, and I'm telling y'all the truth, I lived a mile from where he pulled me over, and I said, if I gotta go to jail, just follow me home. That way Daddy won't have to get the truck out of jail, and I'll get in with you, and we'll go. I said, get out of the truck. And I'm turned sideways in the truck with the door open, it's running, and it's a Chevrolet dually. And that's probably what's wrong, I wasn't driving a Dodge, but anyway. I turned and grabbed the gear shift and hit the gas, and the window was down, and he grabbed it, and it shut on his hand, and I drug him that far from here to the front door, and thank God he got his hand out, and when the dually fender hit him, it just kind of tabletopped him. I'm looking in the mirror, watching this, thinking, oh shit, and it's bad. And they set up a roadblock. I was coming to Beaumont when that happened, and I didn't even get out of the county. And they had a roadblock set up, and they whooped me like I needed it, you know. I was mad then, but I look back now and think, you earned every bit of that. And so anyway, that started I got to get through here, I get sober. But hey, when you wait as long as I did, you got a lot more drunk than you got sober, you know. Yeah. So that started we hired a good lawyer. My daddy hired a good lawyer. Let me take the we out of that. My daddy hired a good lawyer, and I got a 5-year probated sentence for an ag assault on a peace officer, evading arrest, all this crap. So I got 5 years probation, deferred. Well, that's all good if you stop. But I don't know if what I was doing, but it wasn't stopping, wasn't it part of it. And so 3 years into that, I went to Safe P up at Johnston Unit up at Henderson, Bradshaw Unit. No, Johnston Unit. I finished at Bradshaw. I'll get there in a minute. Went to the Johnston Unit and did the Safe P thing, you know, and went up let me tell you who I am. When I'm in trouble, I say what I think you want me to say and do what I think you want me to do till I can get out of your sight so I can do what I want to do. That's me. Like a chameleon or whatever. I can be the guy that I need to be when the heat's on. Unless I can reach a beer. But when you get me in one of them places I can't reach that stuff, it's like, y'all know what I'm talking about. And so anyway, I made coordinator, went up this, I don't even remember what they call it, but I know this. I came from different ways and homes, learn from life and live alone. Anybody remember that? Nobody?
Say it again.
The Johnston Way. Nobody remembers that? Okay, anyway. So I go through there and I go to a halfway house in Beaumont. And at this halfway house, the first thing I want to know is how long I got to stay here. Because my whole plan is getting away from these folks. And they got this deal, it's a 90-day program. But if you get a job and you get money in the bank and a bank account, blah, 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 you can get out in 60 days. Well, I had all that in 60 days and I was out of there. And I rented clean that up. My daddy rented me an apartment in Port Neches because I got this job welding and 2 days in that apartment and I was doing what I do. And I'm a little blurry on some of this, but because one of these times that I was out 90 days and another time I was out 60 days. And I don't remember which one it is, but anyway, real soon I'm back in Henderson County Jail again. And I've already been in front of Judge Carter Terrence a bunch of times with this same charge, trying to go to treatment and go to Safe P and blah, blah, blah. And I'm wanting to go to treatment again. And, you know, I'm that guy, just wanting to get out of trouble. And he wears half glasses, and he was sitting up in his bench like this. And I said, and the lawyers done told me that I'm not allowed to talk to him. And I'm trying to get the lawyer to ask to go to treatment. And he said, they're not going to let you go to treatment again. You're going to be lucky to get a small amount of time with this, and we're probably going to get a 3-year sentence with it. Well, I don't listen very well. Y'all know anything about that? So I get up here and was standing right there, and I said, Judge, I want to go to treatment. He said, I'm going to give you some treatment. 3 years, Texas Department of Criminal Justice. And my knees shook. Now, I know that ain't a long time for maybe some of y'all, but that was the longest time I'd ever been offered. And so I go do that, and I make parole in 15 months and wind up at the Salvation Army in Dallas. Same thing, do the actor thing, get the money together, get out of there, locked up again in 60 or 90 days, I don't remember which. And so I'm still crying treatment because I know there's something wrong with me, but I don't know what to do about it. And they send me to the other Safe P facility that's in San Diego, Texas. Did y'all know there's a San Diego, Texas? There's a San Diego, Texas. It's at the end. Hey, I was the only white boy in there. I don't know what a minority felt like. They were all Mexicans, and I don't know if they couldn't speak English or wouldn't speak English, but they wouldn't talk to me. only a couple of them, you know, the whole time I'm there. Anyway, blah, blah, blah. I get out of there and nothing changes. I'm back in trouble. I'm going in front of the parole board. I like 2 times being off parole, 2 months, and I'm messed up in the office. And he says, I'm gonna drug test you. I said, I'll just sign it says I'm not okay. And he just looked at me with that look that I've seen so many times on my mother's face, on my dad's face, on my kid's face, on all those ladies' face, that same look of like, why don't you do something? And he said, I'm gonna let you go. When you report this last time, you better be clean. He said, I can send you back in the system, blah, blah, blah. I come back dirty because I can't stop. I don't know how to stop. And come back dirty, and I'm just sure that I'm out of there. And he looked at me and he goes, good luck. And he signed them papers and let me go. And I just knew they was gonna be waiting on me outside because I've been doing some foul shit again. But they didn't, and let me go. And then I got married again, right after that. I was dating this gal, and she's a good gal, just like all the rest of them. It was all good gals. And we got married, and my son is 13 years old now. A lot of time's passed. You know, I've been doing the prison thing, the rehab thing. I've been doing all of that crap that we waste a lot of our lives on. And I'm drunk, in bad shape, and the phone rings. And I pick it up, and it's my son. And he said, Daddy, I want to come live with you. And I look at my wife, and I was like, what are we going to do? And so I think I'm going to do the right thing. I decided that I'm going to go down there and talk. So he's living with his mother's parents. His mother is doing what I'm doing. That's all I'm going to say. And so they have him. My mom and dad kept him for a while, and then they ended up with him. And you know, I didn't have anything to do with any of that because I'm absent. I'm that guy that ain't there. And so I go down there and I said, Gary, said, Hank called me and said he wants to come live with me. And I just want to know what's going on down here. I got that look again. Except it was a little different. It had a little more torque to it, seemed like, because he said, what you need to do is mind your own business. Get the hell out of here. And as messed up as I was, I heard that. And I had my wife at the time with me, and I said, what are we going to do? And boy, you know, we get a resentment. We can do something with that. And I got mad and went and hired a lawyer, and I told the lawyer the whole story, and she said, I can take your money and we ain't got a chance if you don't stop. She said, you got to stop, you know. And by the grace of God, it stopped. Me and her both, we sobered up. Our sobriety date was August 15th of 2006. We sobered up and went through the nastiest custody battle that y'all know about. They had, y'all know Lone Star Investigations here in Tyler? Oh, this is something else. They're here. They spent $40,000 of them following me around, watching me do that stuff that I do. They had videos of me and people passing things, but it wasn't up close enough that you could see what it was. And so that's the kind of custody battle I went through. And as a matter of fact, they were bringing these TVs in the courtroom, and they were showing them, and Judge Morris, he'd look up at it and he'd look back down. He'd look up at it and he'd look back down. And we're cleaning up. We're having to come over here to this place is right over here. We're having to drug test that. They're doing hair follicles on us. And so we're showing up dirty, but the percentage is getting less every time. We're clean. We're not doing anything. And I'm going to rush through this. Anyway, he told them, get that stuff out of here. You know what? He'd seen enough. And I knew right then that if long, I just knew. Anyway, when I was a year sober, I was granted custody of my son. And it's because of y'all. It's because Alcoholics Anonymous and y'all showing me what to do. We were able to stay clean. And we stayed clean. I stayed clean. I've been telling this been telling my story quite a bit lately, and I've been telling y'all I stayed clean 5 years and 11 months, but that's not quite right. 'Cause I got to thinking about that the other day. I relapsed in July. My sobriety date, I guess that is right. Yeah, if my sobriety date's in August, that is 5 years and 11 months. Anyway, what had happened, my mother got sick, and she died, and I always had this deal in the back of my head that if things ever got bad enough, I'd do what I wanted to. And I didn't really know what that was going to be, but that's what I was going to do. I had a reservation. The book talks about Lurking Ocean Reservation, that type of stuff. Had one, and boy, when that happened, I was on point. I was the guy till we got the dirt on her. And then I went and did what I do. I took care of, what I'm saying is, my dad was sick. My dad had Alzheimer's. She'd been his caretaker up to this point. And as soon as the service was over, I was planning my getting drunk. And so that happened, and I came in and out. This is what I was going to do. I had a plan. I wasn't getting along with my wife anymore. I'd quit doing this stuff. Zane talked about me being active in AA. It's not because I'm a good guy. It's because I know what happens when I don't. Because it happened before. I got loaded with a plan that I know what to do. I've worked these steps. And I know what to do. I'm going to go do this for a couple of weeks and I'll come back. That was exactly my thoughts. My sobriety date is March 26th of 16. That's 4 years later. And I'm telling you, it was miserable. Praying high, praying drunk. Please get me out of this. And, oh no. That was a rough 4 years. And the thing about it, my dad's sick. My dad's got Alzheimer's, and I'm trying to hire people to come into the house and take care of him. I live next door to him. My house is probably, and I live next door to him because it's his land. I need a place to squat. That guy, and so he landed in my lap, and it was pretty overwhelming. I didn't really know how sick he was till my mother passed away. That's kind of absent, I was sober, but I don't know. Anyway, I don't know how we made it through it, but we did. And I would go through help pretty regular, let me say it like that, because I would start thinking they were recording me or listening to me or something, and I'd have to fire them and hire another one. And I went through about 5 people helping me take care of him. And then finally my wheels caught, and sobered up March 26th of 16. That's the third time I said that, I know. And started going back to Alcoholics Anonymous there in Athens. And I was sitting in meetings, and it was like no relief. It was like I would go to the meetings and I would leave there in worse shape than I got there in. I would sit in the meetings thinking about getting drunk. So all I could do is think about getting drunk. And I would call Zane and I would say, I don't know what I'm going to do. It ain't letting up. It ain't getting no better. And he'd tell me to read Dr. Bob's story. Read Dr. Bob's story. He'd tell me the same stuff. He'd think he'd come up with something original. But same thing. Read Dr. Bob's story. And I know Bob talks about he wanted to drink for 2.5 years. For 2.5 years, he come in here wanting to drink. And sometime around 10.5 months, I was sitting in a meeting, and I thought, shit, I hadn't wanted none of that in a couple of weeks. And so a miracle had happened. I didn't realize that a miracle had been happening the whole 10 months. We notice them when we get relief. But it's kind of like a buddy of mine said, are you sober today? It's working. If you're sober today, it's working. That's right. So anyway, whoop, 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 I got to hurry up. I got to hurry up because I know if I go over, you won't ask me to do this again, and I want to do it again, Anyway, golly, come back in here, go through the steps with Zane, and doing my fifth step. He's over here writing. I don't know what he's doing, but he's writing. We get done. He's got my 9-step list made out for me. And some of the things that I did, I got in the lawnmower business one time. And I can talk about that now because I'm taking care of it. I used to couldn't talk about it. I got in the lawnmower business, and it was a new lawnmower business, but I really didn't own anything, you know what I mean? And that's big on my 9-step list. And yeah, I was trading lawnmowers that didn't belong to me, you know, and I'm not talking about push mowers either. Hey, this ain't my ego talking. They were new, and they were the ones you drive. And anyway, God Almighty, and this is gonna be funny to y'all. I had been over to Zane's house to eat hamburgers with somebody. I guess it might have been Ricky. I don't know who first invited me over there, but this is before he was my sponsor. And I'm gonna tell y'all, I may get in trouble for this, but I'm gonna tell y'all, the size of his house, the model of his pickup, and how pretty his wife is why I asked him to sponsor me. That's the facts. Now, here I am 4 years sober into this, and I realize now after hearing his story, and I know his sponsor real well, he did all his 9-step in his first 6 months. And here I have been in the lawnmower business. And I got this 9-step that looks like that. Now, I'm not going to get mine done, and I still ain't done. We're just getting started. But the problem is I might not have done all that if I'd have knew I was going to ask him to be my sponsor, and I got to clean up all of it. You know, I might not have been so greedy with it, but anyway, there's that. And so anyway, I'll tell y'all, let's get on up here. We're in this 9-step stuff. One day I'm in Brookshire's there in Malakoff, and I live in Malakoff. We got one red light. If nobody knows, it's a small town. Pretty much everybody knows everybody. And I'm in Brookshire's and I'm doing my thing, shopping, and I turn down this aisle and there's that girl that I took to Dallas. And y'all know what I'm talking about. It was one of them, nothing said out loud, wasn't no bells ringing or nothing, but something said, you got to do something with this. I was just kind of froze. She's coming down the aisle. I'm thinking, oh my God. And so I just walked up to her, and because we've talked, but it's way up here, you know, never about anything that amounts to anything. Y'all know what I'm talking about. And walked up to her and I said, I'm not going to call her name. I said, girl, I said, you know, I made some decisions based on myself, and I was very selfish in the decision I made for the both of us. And I apologize for my actions, and this didn't have anything to do with who you are or what you are. It was all about me. And she just grabbed me and put her arms around me and started crying. We're in the middle of Brookshire's, you know. She started crying. She said, you don't know how bad I needed to hear that. And now we're friends. We see each other now, and I don't have to duck my head. I can look at her, and we talk about things. And you know, it's that you can only do that in here. This is the only place I know of that recommends that we take care of those things like that. And so now I don't recommend this to anybody's fresh sober going into business for yourself, because I did it and it's hell. But anyway, I got a pretty good business, and I'm doing 9-step stuff with y'all here. And I put this fence up around this equipment place over in Athens, and it's a big equipment place. And I had done some business there after hours, but it's just gone out of my mind. I'm telling you, some of that stuff I'd forgot, and I'd done this big job for them, and got done with it, cleared out, paid, gone, and I'm on the phone with Zane talking about these things that I've done, and he said, well, you need to get a hold of a district manager of that place that you did most of that damage to. So this is what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to get a hold of this district manager, and I'm going to hold all the way from Malakoff to here. I'm coming to this room right here to meet Shelley about the anniversary. And thank God for Shelley. She got me involved in service. I'm telling y'all that right now. There's some very special people in my life, and she's one of them for helping me get involved. Anyway, so I'm on hold all this time, and I never do get to talk to a district manager. But while I'm driving, my brain is thinking about that stuff that I've done. And you know, I've heard it said in here, when you start doing that, looking at our past behaviors and you take care of one, well, there's another one. And when you take care of one, there's another one. And that has been the case with me. So while I'm on hold, that place that I just put that fence around comes up. I think, shit, I took something from them. So I go back over there, and this is, let me tell y'all something about Zane. He said, with your checkbook in your hand, you go in there and tell them you're ready to make this right and tell them what you did. Shit. Well, I was ready to go in there and say I'm sorry, but I was not checkbook in my hand. You know, that's like, I'm ready to pay. And so I did what he said. I went in there and I went in the guy's office and I said, I cut the lock on that gate. I stole a New Holland tractor that was sitting right there. I'm here to make it right. He looked at me like this and he goes, that was the first one that ever got stole from me. And he said, get up. And he starts around the desk and I get up and he comes around there and he puts his arm around me and he hugs me and he said, how hard was that? I said, well, I'm in Alcoholics Anonymous and part of this deal is that we make right the wrongs we've done and that's why I'm here and I'm here to do that. And he said, well, he said, I'm sure the deductible on it was $2,000 or $2,500. He said, are you going to do that other work for me that you were talking about doing? And I said, yes. And so ended up making the amends in full. And what a deal. What a deal. And then I end up, my son asked me to go to church with him a couple of weeks later, and I go to church, and this guy's the one with the offering basket. Walking through the church, and I wave at him. And what a deal. You know, that only happens in here. I got to hurry. So, now let me tell y'all. Now let me get through something here. I told y'all about my philandering, is what I'll just call it. And it's been a problem ever since I was 12 years old. I got my first drink when I was 12. I found out what you girls was about when I was 12. And I got saved in the Assembly of God Church when I was 12. So you can imagine 12 was pretty rough. So anyway, now when we're way up to here. I had been in another one of them, not another pregnancy, thank goodness, but in another failed relationship is what you might as well call it, and feeling empty. And this happened this last weekend. All weekend I'm feeling like shit, feeling empty, feeling just like I just took my last drink, but no alcohol, no drugs, just empty, hopeless, helpless. I had that feeling, and it went on into Monday, and then it starts raining. Oh, I don't do rain. And I'm already gloomy on the inside. And then Tuesday morning I get up, and it's thundering and lightning Tuesday morning. And I go over there and I get these 4-step forms that I got, and I do me a written 10-step. And I write all these names on it. And there was six women on it. Since I sobered up, 8, but 6 since I sobered up this time. You see? 6 in the 3.5 years. And look, I got to tell this in a general way, but half of those were married women. Separated, but married women. And when I got that wrote down on paper and I looked at it, it's different when we write it down. Y'all know it is. And I looked at it and I thought, good God, no wonder you're mad all the time and can't get along with nobody, blah, 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 blah. So I'm at his office at 8 o'clock in the morning in Jacksonville. I live in Malakoff. I'm sitting in his office when he drives up. I said, if you got time, I want to do this. If you don't, I'll go to Ricky. You know, Ricky's his sponsor, and we're close like that, all of us. He said, oh, hell no, come on in. So we go in his office. We sat there for an hour and a half, and he's like that. He is a good sponsor. He's got time. So anyway, we go through it. I'm going to be done in 5 minutes, I promise. We go through it, and I come away from there with a spiritual experience. You know, that's what we have when we do these things. It's required of us. When we do this stuff, yeah, I get confused. I can't see it. When we do these steps, things happen. And it talks about it in the book. There are promises. With each thing you do, this will happen. You know, like in the 5th step says the session will be removed, blah, 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 blah. But these promises, and then you know, I ain't never just figured something out real quick. I got to write it down. We got to talk about it. And then 2 or 3 months or weeks or whatever later, it'll go, oh. Okay, well, I got a good buddy named Fred. It's in Texarkana. Y'all may know Fred, doesn't you? And I'm talking to him on the phone yesterday. He calls me up to tell me, he said, I got a new guy. So I'm having him call you every day. I'm thinking, you're in Texarkana. Ain't nobody sponsor nobody. That's what's going through my head. And I don't realize that God's at work. And I'm trying to figure out why he's wanting this guy to call me every day in Texarkana when there's plenty of people down there. I mean, he runs a sober living house. My God, you know, that's what I'm thinking. And then it gets around to the conversation, and I said, Fred, you know, I said, me and Fred are close. I'm close to a bunch of y'all. And, yeah, a bunch of my friends are here now. And I told Fred what I'd done with Zane. And Fred is kind of dry, and everything he says got a lot of meaning to it. He said, you got to get off the fence. And then he's real quiet. I said, get off the fence. He said, yeah, you got to get off the fence. He said, you wrote down these things. I'm going to read them to you. He says, God, please help me to mold my sex ideals that they would be acceptable to you and help me to live up to them. We earnestly pray for the right ideas, for guidance in each questionable situation, for sanity, and for the strength to do the right thing. Okay, if I'm praying those things, I might do something. And I'm talking to Fred on the phone, and Zane had me write this down. He said, write this down. So I'm writing all this down, and it's out of the book. You'd think he'd come up with something original. Hell, but that's what I'm getting at. It's power in the pen. When I write it down, it looks different. Okay, so I'm talking to Fred about this. He said, you got to get off the fence. I said, get off the fence. He said, yes. He said, I know from experience. He said, you're making yourself available. And he said, they know it. And he said, they're sick just like you. He's not doing anybody's inventory but mine. Let me finish. He said, they're sick like you. He said, you're hanging off the fence trying to catch anything that comes by. And he said, they see it. And he said, they're just like you. They won't feel good too. They don't know any better. They don't know any other way. He said, and then somebody's hurt. He said, you got to get off the fence. Well, I don't know how him telling me to get off the fence changed my way I see y'all. But it changed it. I had a spiritual experience. Does that mean I'm going to be off the fence? Well, it means today I'm off the fence. It goes right back to how this thing works, one day at a time. So, I love y'all. Y'all are the very best thing ever happened to me. All of my friends are here. I see Jeff over there. I figured Jeff's truck broke down. It's the only way they got him to come over here. But it's not so. He came the whole way. And Laura and Heather, all of y'all are my friends, and I love y'all. Randy, Zane, everybody, Johnny, Amber, Bo. If I leave somebody out, Bill, hey, if you're new in here and it feels like you ain't getting nothing out of this and it's bad and you wish you wasn't here, but you hadn't had a drink today, it's working. It's working. If you hadn't had a drink today, it's working. And this thing will give you everything that you didn't know you wanted. That's the only way I know to say that. Thank y'all.